Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Dugout Football channel. The Premier League 2020-21 season has now officially finished, and this is going to be the final video of the 2020-21 season. But this time, in this video, I have asked a bunch of fans from a lot of the Premier League clubs this season, and I've asked to give them what is gone right for them this season, what has gone wrong, and who is their best player of the season as well. Now, for example, if you were to ask me about Liverpool, I would say lacklustre season. Happy we got third. Happy we're still in the Champions League. But poor season with no trophies, and I would say my probably player of the year would be probably Fabinho or Mo Salah. So that would be my recollection. So let's start things off with Sheffield United fan Hull Stewart from the Sheffield United way, and then we'll work up the table. So let's hear what you guys have to say about your season.
I'm Hal from the Sheffield United way. What went wrong this season is I think that it started. Would have been good if we kind of carried on that hiatus that we saw in March 2019. If we just could have carried that on, that would have been good. It's been an absolute disaster. It's been, as they say in America, a dumpster fire. But that would be unfair on dumpster fires because some of those, actually, depending on what is burning and what's flammable in that pile, can actually be quite beautiful. What went right? We beat Manchester United away at Old Trafford. That was pretty good. We helped a few teams as well when we beat the likes of Everton. That helped teams like West Ham. So there were, 6 highs with the wins that we managed to accumulate. And that ties into my player of the season, which is Aaron Ramsdale, who was exceptional, a wonderful goalkeeper. I'm just going to say it. He could be a future England number one. He is that good. He's my player of the season. He surprised a lot of people. And if we keep hold of him, I think he could be Sheffield United's goalkeeper for the next 10 years.
Hey mate, Charlie here. Probably not the best season to look back on as a Fulham fan. Quite a lot of negatives that we saw this year. I think, firstly, transfer policy really slow as per usual. We went into the season knowing that we needed a lot of key players, mainly defenders, but 5 games in and we were still playing the same backline that sort of struggled in the Championship. So really slow out of the blocks. Home record this season was abysmal. I think we only beat West Brom and Sheffield United, the 2 teams that finished below us. So just really not good enough in that department. Goal scoring, another shocking stat this season. I think we only scored 9 home goals this year. It speaks for itself. So not much going forward. I think some of the loans, Ruben Loftus-Cheek didn't really do it this season. Massively overrated, I think, but we'll see what the future holds for him. Moving on to the few positives, I think saw Fabio Carvalho at the end of the season, a promising youngster. He looks like he could be a real player next season and the years to come. Scott did get us playing some good football at times. I think pundits jumped on it a bit too much, so I think it's all well and good playing some nice football, but if you're not getting the results, doesn't really mean much. But he did manage to get a few good away results, I think. Beating Liverpool, Leicester away, drawing with Spurs, some good results there. But ultimately, pretty poor season. I just hope we can bounce back next year. But, the Championship's one of those leagues, you don't really know what to expect. Player of the year, I think it's a toss-up between Areola, the goalkeeper, and Anderson at centre-back, both loans. I think without either of those two, we would have shipped even more goals if that's possible. But hopefully we'll bounce back, onwards and upwards.
Hello, my name's Ian and this is the season review for Burnley. Basically we survived. First 7 games, 1 point. Didn't look like we were going to get many more at that point. Our our captain came back from injury, Ben Mee, and that was pretty much the catalyst. We then got 12 points from the next 7 games and sort of cracked on from there, as Sean Darch would say. The key issues that we've had really is that we haven't got the strength in depth. We haven't got the players to come in, replace any players that are out through injury or lack of form. Basically, the starting 11 know who they're going to be pretty much every week. Recruitment wise, we don't really spend money. We spent £1 million on Dale Stevens, who made 7 appearances for the whole season. That sort of shows you what the former board were like. We've now got the new board in, new chairman, so hopefully during the summer we can spend a bit more and hopefully get a 7th season the following season, safely, top half hopefully, cup run, and then maybe further push in a couple more seasons for another European spot. So hopefully that should see us through for next year.
Southampton's 2020-21 season, it's been overall disappointing, definitely. The ambition at the start of the season, or before any football was played, was definitely pushed for a top half finish. There was, I think, a general consensus, not amongst the fans, or just amongst the fans, sorry, but I think quite a few outsiders thought we could be dark horses for Europe, the way we finished last season, especially around that restart period. You know, the football we were playing, just the amount of wins we were getting, and not just in the restart, around, was it Christmas time, or around Christmas time of last season. That all kind of, turned our season on its head after what looked like maybe heading for another relegation battle. But overall we finished 15th after a very good start to the season. Well, very good first half. This second half has been nothing short of a monstrosity, to be honest. Still kind of, I'm just still trying to pick out where it's gone wrong for us. So many different factors, but at the end of the day, we've just lost way too many games, conceded way too many goals, haven't been scoring enough, and it's gone against us. What looked to be a very promising season has kind of now looked at one where we've been a bit like, just kind of a shrug, a sigh, and looking forward to next season. Well, I say that, looking forward to the end of the season, which obviously we're at now. Whether or not we're looking forward to next season is, I think we'll find out around August time. It depends how the summer transfer window goes. If we recruit well and invest in the areas we need to, then we could have that season that we wanted this year, where we get ourselves in the top half. But if we get it wrong, I think it's going to be a relegation battle. I hate to talk about relegation now. The season's only finished today as I'm filming, but I think that's the general thought. Ralph is definitely a man that has to answer some questions now. He's come under a lot of scrutiny over the last couple of months, and rightly so, to be honest. A lot of questions aimed at his direction, and he's got to answer them now. So I'm 99% sure that he will be the manager going into next season. I don't think he'd walk. I definitely don't think he'd be sacked. We need to recruit well. We need to replace whoever leaves, whether that's going to be Danny Ings, whether that'll be Yannick Vestergaard, etc. I mean, there's deadwood in that squad that needs to go. It's a big summer ahead for Southampton Football Club. Thanks for having me, guys. And hopefully this summer goes right for Southampton.
Hello, Ali from Pride of Soul London Fan TV, bringing you my review of the 2020-21 season for Crystal Palace. 2-minute review, thankfully, because there's not a lot to talk about. And actually, I'd suggest, if you're watching the whole show, this is the bit where you go and make a cup of tea or a cup of coffee, because there's not really that much to talk about. But there were a few highlights, starting off an away game in September at Old Trafford, in which we beat Manchester United 3-1. Wilfred Zaha against his former team, if you can call them that, because they barely played him. Manchester United put as much effort into developing him as Katie Price puts into developing her marriages. But he went there, scored 2 goals, captain that day, probably one of his most channel performances. And I think an error by Roy Hodgson not keeping the armband on Wilf. But a superb display from him and us, and to win 3-1 at Old Trafford. The feelings were good at that point in the season. Another highlight for us was going to our rivals Brighton and winning 2-1, despite them having 25 shots on goal and us only having 2, but we still managed to beat them. A hilarious moment that despite how bad we were that day and this season, we were able to beat them and finish above them, and just confirming really that they are destined to forever be in our shadow. I wonder if they'll talk about it in their 2-minute review. Probably not. They'll probably spend 2 minutes crying about Lewis Dunk not being in the England squad. But so they were 2 real highlights of the season. But really, I mean, I think really our cup exit in January at the hands of Wolves, where we didn't even have a shot on target, sort of embodied the frustrations that grew amongst Palace fans as the season went on with Roy Hodgson's style of football. And it just seemed like our style and our performances regressed as the season went along. And whilst Roy Hodgson goes with our absolute respect and the sterling job he did, ultimately we finished 14th, which isn't, too bad. But I think really everyone was ready for the change, and we await our new manager, of course. There were some players though who really did stand out and did a terrific job. Starting with our player of the season, Vincente Guaita, voted for today as our player of the season. Christian Benteke, his resurgence, who's recently signed a new contract. Wilfred Zaha, 11 goals. Unbelievable, really, for a player playing in a team who averaged really 40% or under in possession. But you were 11 goals. Yep, that's more than Aubameyang, more than Mahrez, more than Sterling. But you won't hear about that in the media because apparently Will's got a bad attitude. And also Tyrick Mitchell coming through the ranks, which has been really, really pleasing at left back. And of course, Eze. But that's a sour note really to end the season on. He has a serious injury that will go well into next season. So we await our new manager. Check me out on Friday South London Fan TV on YouTube to see any Palace content. I'll do some content when the new manager is announced, if our new manager is ever announced. And I'll also be doing stuff on the Euro. So check me out, Friday South London Fan TV, and you can occasionally find me as a guest on Doug's channel on his brilliant podcast, The World of Football, on a Monday night. But that's been the Crystal Palace season review 2020-21. Thanks for making me relive it, Doug.
Hi, Doug. Giving you my intake on Wolves this season. It's been a pretty poor season on the standards what they set for the last couple of seasons. I think the major part of that was obviously losing our main striker, selling one of our main strikers, injuries to Johnny Otto. Also, I would say we missed the fans as well badly. I think we're one of them sides in the Premier League what thrive on playing in front of crowds. Looking to the future, obviously losing the manager at the end of the season. There's talk of the old Benfica manager coming in, which I think he's got a massive job when he comes in, because I think the squad needs freshening up, with probably 4 or 5 players coming in and maybe a couple of players going out. There's talk of Neves going for 35 to Liverpool. Well, Doug, if he goes to Liverpool, they want to pay us for Jota, because they paid for Jota yet. Can't have him on the knock as well. But there's talk of Frank Lampard's being interviewed, which I'm a little bit sceptic. I'm not against it. I think he was harshly done at Chelsea. And going on to our manager going, there was a lot of Wolves, I'd say young Wolves fans, who have never seen us play in the old 4th division, being relegated. It was calling for the manager's head. Obviously they've got their wish now, and I personally am gutted, because I don't think we've lost a good manager. I think we've lost a great manager, and I'm sure we'll see him again in the Premier League sometime, and I wish him all the best for the future, because what he done at Wolves was outstanding. He transformed the club from top to bottom, and like I said, I'm absolutely gutted with that. Players coming in, obviously everybody knows we need a striker. I would like to see, tell you the truth, somebody like Giroud coming in, experience. Going to cost a bit of money. I wouldn't say a lot of money as a transfer fee, but I'd say in wages would probably cost a lot. But what it gives you is a lot more than what we've had all season. Jimenez coming back, who knows if he's going to be the same player after that horrendous injury. Future-wise, I fear the worst, but hope for the best. I think maybe there's talk of Bruno Lang, I think it is, from Benfica, the old Benfica manager coming, who is supposed to play a lot of attacking football. But with our defence, we're going to be left wide open, so it's no good losing 5-4 each game. I'd sooner win 1-0, but who knows what the future holds. But we're in a better position than a lot of clubs, so it's okay. Cheers, mate.
Hi, good evening. Welcome to another show, and this is a recorded one, and it's going to be my rewards for Newcastle's Player of the Season and rewards as well. So, my Player of the Season had to go to Joe Willock. When he joined us, he made an instant impact with 8 goals, and he also scored 7 goals straight. Without his scores, I think Newcastle would have been in big trouble, especially when Callum Wilson's been injured most of the time. So, he's come in for midfield, and he totally changed us. So for me, Player of the Season, Joe Willock. Unsung heroes, I have to go with Carl Darlow. Listen, I mean, Dubravka was injured most of the time. Carl stepped in and made some crucial saves. Okay, he faded a little bit, but listen, first part of the season has been absolutely fantastic. And for me, he's definitely the unsung hero, makes some crucial saves at the right time. On to the most improved player, I'll go with Jacob Murphy. Listen, I mean, he's normally a right winger and he's got a lovely cross to the ball, but since he's been playing right wing back under Steve Bruce, he has improved a lot. He does more tackling, goes up and down the pitch, and his distribution needs to be better. But listen, he's improved an awful lot. So for me, I have to say Jacob Murphy is the most improved player in the team. The best individual performance for me, I have to say Alan Maximan. I mean, without his goal against Burnley away from home, he totally changed the game, coming on as a sub, came on the pitch, totally changed the game completely, scored a wonder goal, which won us the game, and an assist as well. So the guy, he's been brilliant. Also, at home against Burnley, when he scored a goal, made a brilliant pinpoint cross and a brilliant skill and cross. So, for me, best individual performance, Alan Maximan. Best team performance against Leicester City. When he went there, everyone said, we're going to get Mullard. But that performance right there was the best I've seen in a long time. 4 goals up, playing fantastic stuff. It could have been a lot more goals. But listen, brilliant display for Newcastle that day. And for me, he deserved it. Great performance, played good football. I want to see more of those next season. And on to the goal of the season. For me, it has to be ASM again. That's against Burnley. Goal from the halfway line, cut inside, spat in the back of the net. Brilliant individual goal for ASM. That's the way to Burnley. And that's the goal of the season. Steve Bruce, I'm going to give him a 3 out of 10. Listen, his tactics needs questioning as well. 2 wins in 21, I can't forget. And for me, he needs to fix up next season if there's no takeover. There's no takeover, and he doesn't start well, he's in big trouble. So, Steve Bruce, 3 out of 10. I want this lad out of my club, as you well know. And that's my NUSC rewards of the season. So, if you don't agree with us, just let us know.
How you doing, everyone? Chris Ellis here, formerly Villa Together. Just obviously going to look at season review of Aston Villa. In what I suppose overall really has been a fairly decent season. Massive improvement off last season. 2019-20 season, we finished 17th by 1 point. Stayed up on the last day. This season, 11th, we were secured in the Premier League many weeks ago, which is fantastic, and that's, I think, the first time in 3 or 4 years that Aston Villa haven't gone into the last day of the season not knowing what division they're going to be playing into next season. So from a fan's point of view is really good, and it's good to have that perspective. You look back, there's fond memories. Obviously, there's a 7-2 win against Liverpool, which was absolutely incredible. We beat Leicester at Leicester, which was a great win. Did a double over Arsenal for the first time in however long. Obviously ended the season well. Wins against Spurs and Chelsea. Still couldn't get anything against the Manchester clubs. We haven't beaten Manchester United at home, I think, since 1995. So that's a bit of a frustration, but I'm used to it. It's been something that I think all Villa fans know. But yeah, a great season overall. I think when you look at things and you look at it in perspective, last season into this season, slightly frustrating that we were 55 points, which the year that Burnley finished 7th and got into Europe, they finished on 54. So it shows it's been competitive, I think, in around that area. And a bit of frustration that we couldn't get some results. I think we dropped 19 points from winning positions this season. You just take half of that and we'd have been in Europe. So that's that. My player of the year is Matt Targett. I think he's been absolutely incredible for Aston Villa, especially when you watch him from last season to this season. The improvement is fantastic, and there's a lot of good wingers in the Premier League. And over the especially last year, there were a lot of wingers that got the better of Matt Targett. I can't think of one that has got the better of him this season, so he's my player of the year. Hopefully next season, in the window, we sign some decent players just to give us that attacking edge and push on and try and make that top 6 possibly. I suppose you're looking at top 8, top 6 for Europe. Try and push on and make that. We just want to see improvement year on year. Get a full season out of Jack Grealish, and I think we'll be a completely different team. But fairly decent season. I suppose 11th kind of is probably right in all fairness. But let's hopefully push on to bigger and better things. Up the Villa.
Hello everyone on the Dugout Football channel. My name is Cameron. I run the Everton fan channel, The Mighty Blues. Doug has asked me to come on and do a little bit of a season review and roundup of Everton's season, obviously finishing 10th in the Premier League. And this video would probably have been a lot more positive if it had been filmed 72 hours ago, even 48 hours ago. I'd have talked about a season that had its ups, had its downs, but the future was we were optimistic about the future and we were excited with us now, obviously, with the announcement that Carlo Ancelotti has left the football club and Everton are now in the search for a new manager. It really very much is doom and gloom and deflation, which is the overriding emotion going through, I think, the majority of Evertonians at the moment. It's the last 24 hours, 48 hours or so have been a real sort of whirlwind, and it's all just happened at one time, and I think it's still to settle and to digest in a lot of Evertonians' minds and feelings, and my own included in that, by the way. But for the future of the football club, I really don't know. I really don't know where we go from here. I don't know who comes in, who would come in to impress, who comes in and would be able to do a good enough job as to what's needed, if you like. But in terms of the last season, because it is a season review, even though it's difficult to talk about the season given what's happened over the last 24 hours. Again, we had some big positives, obviously some massive wins against Liverpool away from home, Arsenal away, Tottenham away. We had a fantastic away record, but our home record was really disappointing. And I suppose, Carlo Ancelotti leaving the football club isn't the worst thing in the world, because it wasn't like we were particularly brilliant last season. Certainly not at Goodison Park, and a lot of the football we watched was very frustrating and not very good. And it was the football that seemed like a team that had no real motivation or no real passion to compete. And, maybe that's because they thought Carlo was leaving at the end of the season. I don't know, but it was a very up and down season. A lot of positives, but a lot of negatives as well. And what would have been optimism going into the future, I really don't know how I feel at the moment. So there you go. Tried to sum it up as quickly as possible. Big thanks to Doug for letting me on the channel. Really appreciate it. And we'll see you soon.
What's up, everyone? I am Carl Weaver, as you know me from the Sam Radio Football Show as a co-host with Douglas. I'm here to talk about my team, Leeds United, how they've done in the 2020-21 season back in the Premier League. First thing first, I think after 16 years away, we're all glad to be back in the Premier League. Probably one of the goods of the season, I think we were always, stayed in the game. We did it, lose, we always played attacking football. Marcel Bielsa always going to be pressing on with the players, left, right, centre. That was no issue. And they really give it a good go. And that's what we wanted to see. We want to see Leeds always give it a go in games. And that was the good thing about it. After, I think, being unbeaten at home to the Big Six this past season, it's been tremendous. I'm really glad for that. The downside was pretty much, was our defence. Our defence was quite bad at the start with. We were leaking goals left, right, centre, especially with the 4-3 opening day season lost to Liverpool, and then conceded 3 goals against Fulham, and also conceded 4 against Aston, 6 against Manchester United. We could have done better. I think we could have done better defensively. But it is what it is. But that was probably one of the few downsides as well. My player of the season, and I had a few multiple players that I won. It has to be Stuart Dallasy. He's been versatile for the club as well, and he's been tremendous. And I knew he was always going to step up in the Premier League. I knew he would, and he's been tremendous for the club. I could have chose Meslier or Phillips, but no, actually, or Bamford. But I decided with Stuart Dallasy is probably the fair choice of my pick for the player of the season. What we expect for next season, I think we are going to transfer Europe. I think for the Europa League or the Europa Conference League places. And I think we'll get some quality players as well too. That's going to be huge as well. Get some huge quality players that's going to come to the club, and Bielsa will sign that long-term agreement as well, another contract stage as well. So thanks for your time, and this is my review on Leeds United season.
Hey guys, Sophie here from Good Gossip TV. I just want to briefly talk about my player of the year for Arsenal. What went right for Arsenal, what went wrong. So hope you enjoy. So my player of the year is going to be Tierney. Now, it's been a difficult decision. It's not been easy. There's been some really good players this season. Pepe, Saka, Smith Rowe, many more. But for me, it's got to be Tierney, because I see when he's not in his Arsenal team, we are just not the same team. We're not threatening. We don't offer anything going forward. Really, we don't put enough crosses in on the left-hand side, and he just offers us so much going forward. He puts spreading crosses in. He aims at the people in the box instead of just putting a cross in and hoping someone's in there for him. He actually aims at someone, which I think is important too. And he's just a leader in this team, and when he's not in, we're just not the same. He is just so determined. He's ready to win with this team. It went wrong for Arsenal. Now, fortunately, the season hasn't gone how we would have liked it to have gone. I'm a bit surprised how bad it's gone. We ended our season on a high. We've won the FA Cup, we've signed some new players like Partey, Gabriel, and then in January we signed Martin Odegaard. So it seemed all positive that we were moving in the right direction, and the season has just been really bad, probably one of our worst. I think it's a mixture of the players aren't good enough, and it's a mixture of Arteta tactically getting things wrong, mismanaging the players. I'm going to use Pepe as an example. I don't think Arteta's got the best out of Pepe. I think Pepe has done well. He's improved, but I think that he should have got way more goals. He should have played way more. But you know what? Hopefully we'll learn more next season. Improve much more. I just think this season has been a huge test for the players to reevaluate their future at Arsenal, or if their future isn't at Arsenal. I think Arteta has probably realised he's made a lot of mistakes here. I think another big issue this season has been Aubameyang now. Last season he provided us with so many goals. He was that guy that just did that all the time, and this season he hasn't done that. And we felt that we kind of really struggled with them goals. We relied on Saka way too much, which has affected us. So, yeah, Aubameyang is that goal scorer. He provides us with them goals, and obviously this season he hasn't done it as much on the league. But a few performances that I liked. Now, one of my favourite was against Chelsea. I liked how he came back. I think Saka scored a fantastic free kick. Saka scored a marvellous goal, and I saw the manager and the players getting the best out of each other. But West Brom, when we beat them, I think 4-0, Tierney scored a fantastic goal, my goal of the season. I think there's a few games like that you could pick out and say we did really well. But mainly, I think there's a few players that stood out this season. Smith Rowe, Saka, Tierney, Xhaka for me. I think that Xhaka has been really good in the midfield. I think Partey misses him when he's not there. I think that Saka obviously has been magnificent. He's carried his team. He wants to win. He's showed that he's a winner. Smith Rowe has showed so much energy, so much fight for his badge. He saved us so many times against Chelsea, for example, scoring that goal. And Tierney, you know, he wants to win and is a captain for sure for our future. So, yeah, I'm really happy with some players.
So Douglas has asked me for my season review on my club, well, my English club, Tottenham. It's been a pretty tough season for us. It's not been very well. It's not been very good, shall I say. We brought in Jose Mourinho last season, 2 seasons ago, and this season it just did not work out for him. He's normally a good manager with defensive players, like he's a defence-minded coach, and he just didn't do well because we've not got a good defence. The only positives been Harry Kane scoring so many goals and Son scoring so many goals. But without them two, I don't know where we would be, because this season they have carried us. And the rumours of Kane leaving, it's going to be mental if he leaves. And then there's also rumours of Antonio Conte coming in. But just, it's been a shocker of a season for Tottenham. We started off so well. It's been a yo-yo season, shall I say, actually. The start, near Christmas time, we were top of the league, beating Man United 6-1. We were beating Southampton 5-2. We won the North London derby. We were just winning and winning and winning, scoring loads of goals. Kane and Son link-up play was brilliant. But it all came crashing down after Christmas time, where we, just on the last game of the season, finished 7th and secured Europa Conference League football next season, which I'm not actually happy about. I'd rather Arsenal finish above us, and they got it. But yeah, it's been a shocker of a season, and hopefully next season's brilliant, better than this season, with Antonio Conte, hopefully as a manager. But my player of the season for Tottenham, it's got to be Harry Kane. Surely he gets the Premier League player of the season as well. Yeah, so thank you for having me on, Doug. Everyone subscribe to Hammer HD, cheeky wee plug. Link in the description, Doug.
What's good, Doug? Thank you so much for having me on. Just going to give you a bit of my thoughts of this season. So, how has Leicester City been? I mean, overall, it's been an amazing season, all things considered. I mean, winning a trophy, huge. Getting into the top 4, we nearly did it. But we're moving, we're progressing year on year. And that's something to be really thankful of. Our owners, we have one of the best owners in the league, arguably the best owners, and we're constantly pushing up and up that table to try and challenge, and as Brendan Rodgers says himself, break that top 6. We've beaten all 6 Premier League teams. We've had to sell players like Chilwell and then bring in replacements. We've had players that are young, that are thriving and want to do better, like Wesley Fofana. And although we ended the end of the season and people will label us as bottle jobs, I don't believe that term, because A, we won a trophy, B, we'll leave that for Tottenham. And overall, we are building something special at Leicester. Progression is the word that I would use in particular. And player of the season, there's so many. There's so many standing players. I mean, Yuri Tillemans is one. Wesley Fofana is another one. Kasper Schmeichel is a really underrated keeper as well, in my opinion. However, I'm going to have to give it to Yuri Tillemans. He's had a phenomenal season. When we bought him, officially, he didn't have the best first of years, but Brendan Rodgers has took him onto a new level. And it's phenomenal to see his development during this time. And yeah, just phenomenal, mate. I'm so happy with the way that Leicester City are progressing. We missed out on Champions League. I think all Leicester fans were disappointed. However, we will look at this, and breaking into that top 6 is an achievement in itself. It just means that we're that close to getting Champions League. Maybe we'll get it next year, but the progression is there. We're winning a trophy, we're doing certain business, and we're moving on to the future. Anyway, thanks for having me on once again, and I'll see everybody soon. Goodbye.
Yeah, so Chelsea's league season was very, very interesting in the end, wasn't it? Winning the Champions League, I can't believe it. You know, I never ever thought we were winning the Champions League last season in a million years. But Thomas Tuchel came in, has done an incredible job. Defensively, we are absolutely solid, very, very sound, very, very tough to break down. I think offensively, we've been disappointing. I think for the attacks, for the players that we have, Havertz, Werner, Ziyech, Pulisic, Mason Mount, we probably should have scored more goals this season. Obviously, Tammy Abraham hasn't really particularly played, but my God, winning the Champions League, like Saturday night, will live with me for a very, very long time. Like that. What happened that night was ago. Not only did we win the Champions League, not only did we beat Manchester City, we absolutely outplayed them. The game plan, the setup, everything was amazing. The overall general season, I give this season a 9. I think it has to be a 9. We've won the Champions League. We won the Champions League. Like, that's just mind blowing to think that this squad. We've not very many winners in it. A manager came in halfway through the season in a very tough atmosphere, under a lot of pressure. Did this. It's only a 9 because we did only scrape 4th place on the last day of the season. Thank you to Spurs winning. We didn't beat Aston Villa. I think that's extremely disappointing, given we've been able to see the potential of this squad in the Champions League, for example, winning it. So I think we should probably have done better in the league. And then I think in the FA Cup final we did lose. We didn't turn up. We played quite badly, especially offensively. I thought offensively we were really, really wasteful, and we never really looked like scoring. So if we won the FA Cup, it would have been a 10 without a shadow of a doubt. It's a 9. And I said winning the Champions League, seeing Havertz scored a winner, seeing the emotion of Mendy, the first African goalkeeper to win the Champions League, and all, it's unforgettable. But this season for me has been a really, really good season, and hopefully next season will be better.
Okay, Liverpool's 2021 season, in a nutshell, has been Heart Attack FC on a plate. It's been a very, very difficult season for numerous reasons. But all in all, we've come third. We've done brilliantly, and I think in terms of what went right this season, it was all about that mentality and that banding together. And despite everything, those boys really pushed through. And that's a testament to Jurgen Klopp and the management that he puts into our club, and the boys themselves. Like, they had to fight tooth and nail for this, and they did it really, really well. I can't fault the boys. They all stepped up. Nat Phillips and Reece Williams and Ozan Kabak, they stepped up when we needed them most, and we've started to see the shine in our players again those last 5 games or so, and you can't deny that mentality monsters really played a massive part in us getting top 4. In terms of what went wrong this season, I think you can't ignore the obvious. Like, it's glaring you in the face. It's the injury list that we had this year. Our players' injury days combined was almost triple the days of the Premier League in total. So that just shows how much that impacted us. Like, we lost our centre-backs, and it had a knock-on effect. Everybody else had to step up their game. And as a result, they ended up being injured as well. And we've seen a large number of our players, I think at one point it was 11 players, have been out injured for significant portions of the season as well. So I just think any other team in the Premier League, whether it be City, United, Chelsea, they get their centre-backs injured, their second centre-back, their third, their fourth, their fifth choice centre-back injured. You have to play your midfielders at centre-backs, and I think you don't win the league. So to get 3 feels like a massive achievement, but you can't ignore the obvious. We've really struggled with injuries this year, but all in all, it's been a wild ride this season. We've seen the highs, we've seen the lows, and at the end of it, we've come out smiling. But I'm very happy to see the end and roll on next season.
Hi Doug, thanks for asking me to give a little review for obviously United season. If I'm being honest, I think the word I'd sum it up is inconsistent. It was obviously a sour ending with what happened in the final. Very disappointing. If I'm honest, as a United fan as well, I don't think I've quite got over that yet. It hasn't quite sunk in. Obviously it was a final that we were very much favourites for. A final that a lot of people believe that we would absolutely smash, and yeah, we just didn't turn up. So I said if we got a trophy and we got second, that Ollie has done a good job, but obviously not getting that trophy, it's bitterly disappointing. I think there is still progress there, but there's still a long way to go. I think that's clear to see. Yeah, I'm just hoping that Ollie is backed, obviously in the forthcoming transfer window. We get the players that we want. There's rumours Sancho is coming in. I think there's no doubt about it. We need a centre back, we need a CDM. And it'd be interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I think Ollie needs back, and I think he deserves the time. I do think there is clear progress there. But like I say, I think there's still a lot of work to do. This season's been very much up and down. I mean, beating the likes of City, but then going and drawing against West Brom, and that's what I mean by inconsistent. I think we've had an amazing away form. Obviously, you can't knock that, but our home form has been questionable. And yeah, I think we need to, next season, obviously we need to improve on that. We need to improve our home form. We need to put teams away, such as Burnley, West Brom. Obviously West Brom aren't there, but you know what I mean. Teams like that where there's a low block, I think we need to be better. Ollie needs to be better at his tactics. But obviously the personnel, I think, needs to be a bit better as well. So hopefully Ollie gets the backing hopefully next season we go up another gear again. I do think it's progress under Ollie. So yeah, I just think we need to improve next season. It's been a mixed bag for United fans this season. Disappointing ends with a final. Hopefully we come back stronger next season and Ollie gets that back in. Thanks, Doug.
After coming in second last season behind Liverpool, it was somewhat of a disappointment because Man City were on the quest to do the three-peat. So, in a way, we had to bounce back. And bounce back we did. But it didn't start it out so well because at Christmas, we were sixth. And I was like, oh man, here's last season happening all over again. With Liverpool on top of the table. I'm like, yeah, they're definitely going back to back. But the boys rallied. Pep got his things together and we fought back to win the title. I must say it was a challenge. Definitely was a challenge in a strange season where there were no fans for most of the year, and it was just a challenge for the players, a challenge for the fans, a challenge for everyone to just go out there and get the job done. But City did it, and you have to commend the team for doing it under such difficult circumstances. And it could go down as one of the most special title wins of all time. Seriously, when you think about the circumstances, no fans, the COVID-19 pandemic, the quarantining, the bio bubbles and all that kind of stuff. And I have to say, we got to pat ourselves on the back and commend ourselves for doing a great job here. So, my player of the season, it has to be Ruben Diaz because he came in and he transformed the team. He showed us what we lacked last season on our title defense, and we were able to reclaim the title from Liverpool this season, where they actually got the same problem we suffered last year with losing their best defender, Virgil van Dijk. Pep Guardiola also went ahead and changed his tactics, using a false nine instead of the conventional strikers in Aguero and Jesus. And it worked like a charm. So this season was a season of innovation. It was a season of pragmatism. And it was just a season where Pep Guardiola he just brought out the best in everyone in a time when it was so difficult to do. So I feel good, and Man City won the Carabao Cup, won the Premier League, on the quest to win the Champions League. This is the Thursday before the Champions League final, so I'm hoping to actually be the champions of Europe come this Saturday. It would be the icing on the cake. It would just top off one of the most memorable seasons ever. Was there a time this season when I thought we weren't going to win the title? Yes, but that's all behind us now. And we could all move on into next season as the champions of England. Cheers, Doug.